Where do we start with this extraordinary tale? We haven't got time to start at the beginning because there is no beginning and there is no end. So we'll start in the traditional way, so here we go. Once upon a time on a planet in a far-off war-torn galaxy, it was decided by the elders to send off into the unknown the brightest young mind to act like a seed to preserve their species should the worst come to the worst in the galaxy. This boy they called Cosmic Jim. So off Jim went into the unknown on his quest. After a long turbulent journey in which Jim suffered numerous traumas to his head, he arrived safely intact, well almost apart from a little amnesia, to a beautiful, relatively peaceful blue planet we call Earth. Cosmic Jim, the younger years. Jim in his younger years was very happy, especially with his Earth parents Jim Sr. and Dorothy. He immersed himself in nature, something that he could relate to, enjoying all the diversity it had to offer. This started to soothe away his amnesia as he kept getting the feeling he was being watched and was never alone, something he called the green-eyed monster. It was round about this time when the young Jim fell under the spell of our lovely little intelligent ball of feathers we call pigeons. Jim instantly fell in love with these enigmatic little creatures and in true Cosmic Jim style decided to try and unravel the mysteries that they clearly were hidden inside. For the time being, Jim just enjoyed their company, spending many an hour just watching them flying around, completing somersaults high up in the clear blue skies above him. Little did he know that this encounter would lead to a lifelong obsession, a love-hate relationship that only true pigeon fanciers can relate to, so be warned, there will be more on this subject later. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention that the green-eyed monster was still lurking in the shadows. Jim now reaches his formative years of his Earth life, and it was the time for Jim to become socially conditioned, a process we Earthlings call school. Jim's instinct at this point was screaming at him, "Don't do it," but alas, it was falling on deaf ears due to amnesia which still affected him. So off Jim went on his merry but sadly misguided way. Joining the rat race and jumping aboard the hamster wheel of life, Jim raced through this part of his life, enjoying everything that this world had to offer once he had participated in the conditioning educational process. Jim, although really enjoying sampling the delights of the world as he traveled extensively, still felt like he was missing something, but he couldn't put his finger on it, even though he felt it was so close he could almost but not quite touch it. Here's some short clips of what Jim got up to. Obviously not all, as this film would be as long as a human life and I just don't have the kind of time to document it. Jim made friends and embraced the outdoors, participating in wild game sports, the other side of being in nature, so he could get a feeling for both sides. After all, how can anyone have a greater, higher understanding of anything if you haven't lived it? And that's just what Jim did. Like arm wrestling, did he tell you he was unbeaten when he practiced this skill? Following the theme of all things natural, he also attended the Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew, and studied botany, something which Jim was very proud of, and quite rightly too. Oh, I almost forgot, did I not tell you one of his classmates he studied with was none other than Alan Titchmarsh, the star of the long-running BBC TV series Ground Force. And all this time Jim felt like something was watching him, but by now it was closer than ever before. The Renaissance, as you have witnessed, was Jim living life to the full and sampling all this wonderful planet has to offer. Soaking in every experience that came his way, analyzing every facet and breaking it down into its component parts and storing them into the deep dark caverns to be drawn upon at will should the opportunity arise. Alas, though, he continued to sense and feel that there was something still missing that would make the picture complete. This picture which Jim was starting to see, although it was still misty and murky as well as out of focus. The sense that he was still being watched and the feeling he was not alone was reaching a point where he could no longer avoid a confrontation with whatever it was. Jim set the stage for this meeting of minds in his own by now well-known eccentric way, not on a battlefield, as he instinctively knew that this feeling was not there to harm him. After all, it had every opportunity to harm him over the years. Jim had chosen the Mensa IQ test as the catalyst finally once and for all to confront his demon. The day arrived of the test, and of course this was also the when he knew he had to set off on the journey to face his green-eyed monster. This was no ordinary journey, because this was a journey, was metaphorically speaking, within himself, a long journey to the deepest, darkest caverns in his mind. Jim walked through dimly lit rooms, opening one door after another, brushing aside cobweb after cobweb, until he came across the final barrier, not another door as usual, but this time a dusty old moth-hole-ridden curtain. With a sense of anticipation and a little trepidation, Jim threw back the curtain, revealing a very small, dark, dimly lit room, and in a corner a pair of green eyes peering up at him. Well, Jim thought it's now or never, and said to the little chap, "Hello, my little old friend, what are you doing down here?" And then in a strange, almost unrecognizable voice, the reply came, "I am you, and you are me, together, cosmic Jim we shall be." Jim paused for a moment, taking the reply in and trying to make sense of it. Suddenly the little green-eyed monster leapt up, flew through the air, and merged into Jim. Jim, shaking himself down, checking that he was okay, instantly felt whole again, likening the sensation to putting on an old comfy pair of slippers. In an instant Jim now knew who he really was. The amnesia, the feeling of someone watching him, and the little green-eyed monster were all gone. He felt a profound feeling of self. The last piece of the jigsaw was complete. He was Cosmic Jim, on a mission to spread the message to other worlds, not to destroy the universe like his own race had done. Oh yeah, the results of the Mensa IQ test. Well, as anyone following this story will have guessed, Jim always wins over adversity, and this was no exception, especially now he was Cosmic Jim. Yeah, you guessed it, he came top of class with a score on the level of the most intelligent participants, a true genius. Cosmic Jim's legacy to mankind. This awakening, or should I say realization of Cosmic Jim of himself, had a profound influence on how Jim would proceed with his remaining Earth life, both spiritually and mentally. Jim now had an overwhelming urge to leave a legacy for the benefit of all mankind. So in typical Cosmic Jim style, he set to work on his self-delegated mission. By this time Jim had become a self-professed eccentric, genius, author, poet, and much more, being accomplished to the highest levels, something like we have all become accustomed to in this story. Jim was a hard taskmaster to himself, and his academic papers were published all over the world in the most prestigious literary outlets with great reviews. Jim penned and published 9 books, thousands of articles, and numerous poems which he is extremely, and quite rightly so, proud of. Here's one of the same which is extremely relevant to this movie. This poem is full of hidden meanings, penned in a playful, abstract, and macabre style, just one of many of Jim's delivery styles. Cosmic Journeyman. I am the Cosmic King on Earth, and born to sing. I probe the question of life and death, from the brain and mind at my behest. A spiritual journey I have begun, of inner space and so much fun, to ponder all from near and far, the babbling brook and the shooting star. One day I sense my light may fade, my moon, my sun to fall in the shade, as I earn my place in the fallen leaves, no more to shine or be perceived by those who light the fires of truth of Cosmic Man, the mindful sleuth. Well, we are here as promised earlier. You will have seen in the title we are back to racing pigeons. Pigeons were a continuum for all Jim's Earth life, being imprinted from an early stage way back when. Let's get this straight, it could have been anything, but Jim chose his search for his holy grail within this genre. Jim set his goals very high, constantly pushing his passion to its limits, using his newly acquired sense of self, giving him a new self-confidence which bordered the realms of mysticism. In practical terms, Jim selected the longest, toughest race he could, using the medium of his feathered friends we call racing pigeons, the race called in the racing pigeon fraternity as Barcelona International. In typical Jim style, he excelled in it, but rather than me try to explain, I'll let Jim tell you of one of his most memorable moments in this race in his own words. Take it away, Jim. The Race That Changed My Life by Jim Emerton. At the age of 72, I can reflect on the nostalgia of a rich, diverse and colorful life, as poet, philosopher, Menson, author, teacher, journalist and pigeon man. In July 1995, I sent my remaining 6 birds to Barcelona International. These had the awesome and onerous task of flying 879 measured miles to Sycamore Cottage, Holtby, York. It was a seminal, dreamy and outrageous thing to do, being far further and serious than NFC-powered 735 miles that I had achieved on day 2 in 1994 at velocity 1035 YPM. At Strensel PRS Club, Denny struck the clock, and I told the members I am going to clock. Miracles do happen, as I heard the dark, 2-year-old cock, Barcelona dream drop on the loft. Emotions high, he looked massive as I timed him in at 879 miles to be the longest flying bird ever in race time in the 43-year history of the BICC. The corollary is that he won an RPRA medal and became a champion producer of Musgrove Persistent, Addiction etc. and Bredis WDA St. Omer National in his first nest. I verified 2 more at 879 miles in the race and paired the champ to Little Dark Enchantment, who was one of 2 hens in the race. Since the epic race of 1995, Barcelona Dream has become a star, and I still love the bird, a freak of nature, and the transcendence and total high of the whole experience. Thanks, Jim, very eloquently put, nothing more to be said. As the saying goes, behind every great man there's an even greater woman. I think it was a woman that said that. But in Jim's case, there was 2 special people of the female kind that stood by him through the highs and the inevitable lows that accompany a cosmic traveler in a strange environment. The 2 aforementioned are his Earth Mother Dorothy and Jim's long-suffering, serving, wife Jean, for services to the greater good and way above the call of duty. One of the most important lessons Jim had learnt on Earth was to keep the girls happy, never forgetting the saying, the female of the species is more deadly than the male. Pictured here with Jim, Dorothy and Jean letting the beauty of their inner spirit shine out for all to see. Well, this is the point we all come to in life, or is it? Remember at the very beginning of this story when I say there is no beginning and there is no end. This is a very true statement when it comes to Cosmic Jim, because he is not your usual earthling. He's an alien on holiday, enjoying a kind of grand tour, but on a universal scale, visiting planets of interest. For those who know Jim, you will have, I'm sure, heard Jim say how when your time comes you are buried and turned back into dust, adding the little caveat in typical Jim style: bury me face down with my bottom sticking out and you all can kiss my hairy backside goodbye, or words to that effect. Far from little old me to challenge the master on his understanding of this theory, but I do agree with it partly in that yes, the human superstructure, the body, will in fact do just that, but hold on a minute, in Cosmic Jim's case he is not human. I believe that Jim is just teasing us when in the reality of Cosmic Jim's world, life, time and death are all human inventions and do not apply to, for want of a better word, aliens, especially one of Cosmic Jim's stature. Sadly though, it is the ending of an era, as Jim has got to move on to pastures new on his cosmic journeys, a continuum of his mission to educate other species on the most important philosophy of life, which is, enjoy life for it is fleeting, don't worry, be happy, love and care, and most importantly have fun. Now it really is time for Cosmic Jim to go, and I'll leave you with this little thought. He is going because his mission is complete on Earth. He is sure that if everyone just dared to look inside themselves, they would find their own self buried deep in the deepest, darkest, dusty caverns of their minds, if only they would dare to look. You just might be surprised what you find. Because in a way we are all like Jim, just visitors to this wonderful diverse planet, passing through time and space on our own personal grand tour. So for now, let's wish Cosmic Jim a safe journey as he sets off to pastures new and undoubtedly more crazy adventures that will titillate and tantalize his time-warped sense of humor.